Hello everyone, my name is Awot, and I forgot I had a YouTube channel. I've been so busy just filling out job applications that I totally forgot I had a YouTube channel because I kind of just finished my mod and I mentally clocked out of Age of Mythology since I had been working my mod for like 50 hours a week for the past 3 weeks. So I was taking a break playing other games. But I think I clocked out too hard that I forgot I had a YouTube channel for it. For all three and a half of my subscribers. And then I also forgot that I didn't finish the tree tier list. Yeah, I was relaxing, and then someone reminded me that on Steam that I didn't finish my tree tier list at any point because earlier I had said I would update it once the Aztec DLC came out. But then I completely forgot about my upload schedule because I was focused on the mod. But yeah, now I'm back on track. So let's take a look at all the trees that were added in the Aztec DLC and rank them. Of course, as usual, these rankings are completely subjective and based on my taste. It's going to be heavily biased. I'm not going to make any effort for hot takes, not going to be a contrarian. I'm just going to rate them based on how much I like them and how much I feel like I could reasonably use them. So the Aztec DLC added quite a bit of forest mix to the game, not to mention they also have a bunch of forest grounds this update, most of which I enjoyed. But honestly, you could see a lot of the S tier trees I had in my previous tier list here being combined with the new trees. So there's oak, pine, and palm trees. The only S tier tree that's missing is the dead tree, and I feel like that could fit here too. They just probably didn't use it because it's already being overused in many places. So that's cool to see that my own rating held up well with Age of Mythology's taste, and they used that as part of the mixes and the new Aztec DLC. But I'm here to rate the individual trees and not the mixes they added to the game. So let's go over the individual trees. So first up, we got the Palo Verde tree. I think that's how you say it, and it translates from Spanish to English as the green stick tree. And then after that, we got the Kapok Tree. Again, sorry if I'm butchering any of these pronunciations. Afterwards, we got our first palm variant, the Mexican palm. We had so many regional pine variants, and now we're finally getting our first palm variant, showing palm some love. And then finally, we have the Yucca Tree. Yucca? Let me search up how to pronounce it. Okay, seems I was right, it was Yucca. But yeah, these are our first North American trees in the game. So let's start with the Palo Verde tree. Allegedly, the Palo Verde tree lives in the top left corner of Mexico, which is funny because the animals that live in the maps of Palo Verde trees, such as alpacas and capybaras, are actually really far away from where Palo Verde trees live. But hey, once again, I would like to disclaim that I poke at this for fun, but I prefer it this way because I'd rather have the variety of having alpacas and capybaras and stretch the realism a little bit than having the 50th map in a row to have deer. But anyway, with that out of the way, what do I think about the Palo Verde tree? I think it's pretty awesome. I think it's a much better ginkgo tree. The ginkgo tree has two colors, and the Palo Verde actually matches one of those two colors. It's very distinct and unique lime color, but in my opinion, the Palo Verde tree has a much better shape than the ginkgo tree. If you put a fully ginkgo forest next to a fully Palo Verde forest, I think the Palo Verde wins hands down each time. Its shape just seems so much more natural. That being said though, none of the vanilla maps in the game actually use the Palo Verde tree this way. They use the tree very sparingly, only as stragglers or as an accent if you get the Aztec biome on the random biome maps such as Nomad, Land Nomad, Unknown, and Land Unknown. I think this is kind of unfair because I think it's super sick. Has that unique color that pops out without looking like an eyesore the way the ginkgo tree makes it look like an eyesore. This also probably has to do with the fact that its shape is just way better than the ginkgo trees. So I think this is another case of one tree being far more superior than the other. But I also have to admit that it suffers from a similar issue as the ginkgo tree, and that is its unique color does make it a little difficult to play well with other trees. Even the natural Aztec biome only mixes it with the Yucca tree, which also has a particularly lime upper leaf color. So with the ginkgo tree being in C tier, and this is a way better version of the ginkgo tree, I'm going to move this up to B tier because I think it has decent uses. I could throw it in just about any North American biome map type that I want. Has a nice unique color that sets it out from the rest, and a good shape that won't make people bat an eye. To be honest, all these traits probably only get to high C tier, but I have a giant personal like for it. I just think it looks so nice. So let's pretend the B tier stands for bias today. I'm going to push it up from 77, 78 L100 to an 80 L100, barely squeeze it into the B tier out of nothing but pure bias. Then next up we have the Kapok Tree. Kapok? Sorry, I'm just not very familiar with the culture, so sorry if I'm mispronouncing these names. But this is your jungle slash Aztec marsh kind of tree, and it's definitely on the darker green kind of side of things, but I typically find that darker green trees have no problem fitting in with the normal shade of green trees. It's its size and shape that makes it problematic. When I make a custom forest and I sprinkle in just a few kapok trees, its tall size and giant bushy leaf shape basically has it run over and take over the entire forest. I really do have to limit the amount of these trees that I put in to make sure that you can see the other trees and see the variety of trees in the mix. So all this to say is it plays a little difficult with others, but if you can work around this, which is something that I did focus on and I did eventually do, I worked around it, constantly tweaked the ratio. You can get a good ratio where it just blends in great with the other trees and looks fantastic. So it is a little difficult to play well with others, but only in the sense that it requires a lot more effort, but ultimately that's not the tree's fault. That's more of a ratio and balance kind of thing. And I do think it looks good in a mono forest. That is one thing I look at with a tree is, does it look good by itself at the very least? And yeah, this definitely flies by that. I think it also looks fantastic as a random tree or a straggler tree, like one of those trees that spawn by themselves. I think it looks great there too. And I think this one has a decent amount of uses. So the Palo Verde tree I like to use in about any North American scenario. This one is limited to less scenarios because you want to use this exclusively for tropical scenarios, but not like water tropical like the Atlanteans are. You want inner land tropical, which is a new thing that's introduced exclusively for the Aztec DLC. Since not the other pantheons really had a tropical environment like this, the Atlanteans had a water tropical environment because, well, they're Atlanteans and they live by the ocean, and the Egyptians had like a desert oasis kind of tropical, not this jungle tropical that's new to us. But its usage is limited to one biome type, but when that biome type is brought up, it's unquestionably used in that biome type. It's the king of that type. So it being a king of an entire genre, even that genre is limited, makes it more than niche, I think. So I think that definitely squeezes it past the C tier and gets it a spot on the B tier. That, once again, I really dig this tree, and I might just be personal biasing this thing. I am glad I did wait like a whole entire month to make this tree tier list because then I could dodge the recency bias accusations where like I'm just liking these things because they're new. I've definitely had a month to sit and think about these things, so I don't think I'm still having the recency bias, but if I do, I'm sorry. The next up we have is the Mexican palm. I feel like this is a really similar situation to the dead pine tree, where it's a variant of an S tier tree. However, its only purpose to exist and mostly complement the S tier tree with limited usage by itself. So for example, the dead pine mostly complemented the pine tree. Living in the shadow of an S tier tree is still pretty nice though because the S tier tree is in a lot of places, but it hardly ever stood by itself, only being used for my underworld type biomes. And I could feel like I could say the same thing about this. The Mexican palm is mostly seen mixed with the palm tree as an accent to it, like it complements the palm tree, hardly standing alone. And then its only other usage is being mixed with the Yucca tree because they have similar roofs, a bright limey green roof. And while I do appreciate the team adding a tree with different bark color besides brown, this one having a nice white bark color, something that we've only seen in like the Gaia tree, for me it makes it stick out a bit too much since it already has that very unusually colored top. So unlike the dead pine tree where you could justify mixing it in any biome with pine trees, this unique color combination really sticks out on non-Aztec biomes. So sneaking it in an Egyptian map, for example, probably would not fly too well. But it does for sure have more uses within the Aztec biome, since being used with yucca trees and palm trees in an Aztec setting is probably like already 99% of Aztec settings. But I could also see myself not using it and no one would bat an eye, since it seems to only exist to be a complement as opposed to a standalone tree. So I've stacked a lot of things for and against it here. So you're confused that I like this tree or I don't like it? Don't worry, I'm confused too. I'm actually very confused on how I feel about this tree right now. Um, B tier then. I don't have any smart explanation for this besides I'm confused and I don't feel like it's C tier or A tier. So I guess it's B tier. Surely being an accent in most Aztec biomes is enough to justify its ranking. And then finally we have the Yucca Tree. I'm just going to throw that on easy A tier. It's the undisputed king for its biome, which is the Aztec Desert. It is the only one of the new trees to get a mono forest type in the game, because it simply can just stand alone like that. It's just that strong and good. Like I know I said I look at the mono forest types of other trees, but this one legitimately, natively is supported as a mono forest tree type in the game, because even the team decided, hey, this looks good alone. Definitely, if there was a poster child to be the main tree of the Aztec DLC, this would definitely be it. It's the tree that other trees hide behind, so the Palo Verde and the Mexican palm are used as accents to complement this tree because this tree is just that important. And it's finally a tree that could stand up to the palm tree in the desert game. So you want a desert environment without palm trees, you swap to Aztec, you can use this. And yeah, I also personally just like how it looks a lot with its really dark bark color complementing its nice unique upper green color, but at the same time it's not too lime green that it stands out. And yeah, what else can I glaze about it? It's just really strong. It's a dominant tree and it's the poster child to Aztec DLC. So I think I feel solid playing an A tier. Because while I also said that the Mexican palm can be used in 99% of scenarios, it's used as an accent. This is like used as a primary for all the Aztec scenarios. The only scenario in which it doesn't appear would be those slightly grassy and aquatic environments, such as the Blood River Crossing map or the Temple of the Jaguar Moon map. But if you actually zoom in on those maps, they actually do have the slightest amount of yucca trees being used. So I think it does go and stays on top as the undisputed king of the Aztec biomes, plural. But yeah, that's it for my tree tier list with the Aztec trees included. I'm going to update it on screen. Let me know if my opinion is bad, just like last time with the pear tree. when I put the pear tree in C tier, someone very much changed my mind on that because I'm open to hear you guys out. I'm not gonna lie about my biases, but I am also open to hear you guys out as well. I just didn't want to be negligent and say that this tier list is bias free because it's definitely not, but that doesn't mean I'm also completely stay biased without any opportunity to change my mind on some of the tree listings. But that's it. Hopefully it was a fun listen at least, even if you guys disagree with it. Since having different opinions is how we got this game anyway. It's really a game about people with different religions and ideologies and beliefs fighting each other. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you for tuning in, all three of you, and have a great day.